everybody's on. Appreciate you coming this afternoon. I'm Jim Phillips. I'm the first assistant U.S. attorney here. Alice Martin is out of town today. I think some of you were here yesterday, so it's good to see you coming back again. We're here this morning to announce the indictment of John Katopodis. He is no stranger to most people in Jefferson County. Served on the Birmingham City Council in the 1970s, on the Jefferson County Commission on into the 1980s. Mr. Katopodis was arrested this morning in the Boston area by agents of the FBI. You'll have available to you after the press conference a copy of the indictment. The scheme charged in the indictment in substance charges that Mr. Katopodis used a local charity, in reality as his own personal piggy bank. The charity was known as Computers for Kids. He was a founder of this charity back in 2000. The purpose of Computers for Kids was to provide refurbished computers to disadvantaged and needy kids in the Jefferson County area so that they would have access to the internet, to technology, to things that most of us take for granted and use every day. The citizens of Jefferson County, through the County Commission, gave Computers for Kids about $815,000 for that purpose. Instead of helping the children, Mr. Katopodis used the money that belonged to the charity to fund gambling trips on multiple occasions to New Orleans and Mississippi. He used charity funds to pay for travel to the Bahamas and to Egypt. The evidence in the investigation shows that he made more than 50 withdrawals of the charity's funds in locations in or near gambling casinos. The evidence also shows that he spent additional money that belonged to the charity on gifts for friends. He maintained control over the financial records of the charity, resisted the efforts of others to gain access to these records so that he could continue to steal and to cover his tracks. He used the funds of the charity to make payments on his own credit cards and other lines of credit. The indictment charges that Katopodis, from about November of 2001 until June of this year, schemed to defraud Computer for Kids, we'll call it CHK, and schemed to defraud Jefferson County by obtaining money from Jefferson County and from other private donors to use for his personal benefit. Specifically, counts 1 and 2 charge mail fraud in connection with Katopodis causing Jefferson County to issue checks to CHK. Counts 3 through 5 charge mail fraud and wire fraud with Mr. Katopodis causing approximately $24,000 of CHK money to be mailed and wired to Fleet Bank in Boston into a bank account that he controlled between January and March of 2004. Mr. Katopodis is also charged with 27 counts of wire fraud for using the charity's debit card from 2004 to 2007 at Harris Casino in New Orleans, at Jazz Casino in New Orleans, Global Casino either in Louisiana and Mississippi, and the Silver Star Casino in Mississippi for a total of approximately $9,470. He is also charged with 23 counts of wire fraud for using the charity's check card to withdraw cash at ATMs at or near casinos in New Orleans for approximately, or in the amount of approximately $6,356. He is charged with 5 counts of wire fraud for transferring $7,500 from the charity's checking account into his personal account. He's also charged with using transfers from the charity's checking account to pay his personal credit cards on 18 occasions between December 2003 and January 2006, totaling approximately $40,000. The evidence in the investigation would also show that Mr. Katopodis bought airline tickets and paid for travel for himself and for friends on 14 occasions from March 2005 to October 2007, including trips to Cairo, Egypt, and Nassau in the Bahamas, costing over $9,000. The evidence would show that when he traveled to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and to Nassau in the Bahamas, he used the check card of the charity to withdraw cash totaling $800. In total, Mr. Katopodis illegally took about $250,000 of money that was donated to give needy kids computers, and he spent it for himself. The indictment also seeks criminal forfeiture in the amount of $250,000. Mr. Katopodis faces 20 years in prison for each count and a fine of up to $250,000 for each count. And it's been said that no man stands taller when he stoops to help a child. It might also be said that no man sinks lower when he takes money from children. Mr. Katopodis apparently thought that this was the Gregory John Katopodis, the GJK charity, rather than the CHK charity, Computer Help for Kids. I would like to thank the outstanding work of the FBI who investigated this case, and also thank the Criminal Investigation Division of the Internal Revenue Service who provided very important assistance in this investigation. I have on the stage with me Carmen Adams, the Special Agent in charge of the Birmingham office of the FBI, and I'll ask Carmen to make any statement she wants to make.
First of all, I would like to thank the United States Attorney's Office for their support in this investigation, and also thank the Internal Revenue Service for their active participation in the investigation and valuable assistance. The use of public funds for private gain is inexcusable. Taxpayers should expect that the money that they provide for the betterment of their community, for roads, public safety, and assistance to those in need is used for those purposes. Public corruption remains the FBI's #1 criminal program. We will continue to aggressively investigate all public corruption allegations that have merit. As I've said before, we cannot do our job alone. We have to have the assistance of other people and the assistance of the public. With that said, I would ask anyone who believes that they have information regarding corruption in the Northern District of Alabama, report it to our office at 326-6166, or if they want to report it on our website, you can do that at reportcorruption.fbi.gov. Thank you.
All right, I'll take a few questions if you have any. I'll try to answer them if I can.
Health South Corporation had sued Mr. Katopodis for doing this very thing. How helpful were they in this investigation?
I know you're not going to like my answer. I don't want to comment on who might have been helpful or provided assistance at this point. That may come out later if the case were to go to trial, but I don't want to get into who might have been helpful or not in the case.
And this is the 5th former Jefferson County Commissioner now charged with fraud. What would you say that says about the kind of public service that the citizens of Jefferson County have received?
I think they've gotten very poor service. I think there has been a culture that has progressed over time with elected officials in this area. There's been a lot of stealing and cheating going on. We still have it under investigation.
So, Ms. Phillips, you mentioned that there's been charges of mail fraud and such. Did Mr. Katopodis work in a conspiracy or conjunction with anyone else in pulling off this?
I'll answer it this way. The indictment does not charge anyone other than Mr. Katopodis, and that's the best answer I can give you.
Could there be more people charged in relationship to this investigation with this charity?
It's possible, as you might gather from your many frequent visits to this office for press conferences, we have, and the FBI, the IRS, have a lot of things under investigation. I wouldn't want to speculate on that.
What is the earliest date of any of the counts in the indictment?
All right, the scheme goes back to 2000. I believe the earliest dates in the indictment are probably around 2001 the scheme began. So the length of time of the mail fraud goes back to 2001. There's substantive counts that go on for several years thereafter.
Now, Computer Help also received money from the city of Birmingham. Did that factor in at all to any of these counts? Or
there is a reference in the indictment to the city of Birmingham. Most of the funding, as the indictment stated, was the $815,000 that came from the Jefferson County Commission. The counts that are charged in the indictment relate to mail fraud and wire fraud between the CHK accounts, Mr. Katopodis' accounts, and other places in banking arrangements that he directed.
Is he still in custody in Boston? Is he on his way back here? Do we know when he might appear in court?
He will be set for arraignment at the standard time for arraignment. More than likely will be or probably toward the middle of next month. It's my information that he had an initial appearance in Boston this morning. He surrendered his passport. He is going to be released on certain conditions of bond. I don't know that has actually happened yet as far as the release. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks.